I'm stepping out with Betty. Step with me if you're ready. Said I'm stepping out with Betty. Blessings waiting up ahead of me. Said I'm stepping out with Betty.
Welcome to Stepping Out with Betty. Whether it's at noon or after 5, whether we strut or stride, we are stepping out. Good evening. Welcome to Stepping Out with Betty. Whether it's at noon or after 5, whether we strut or stride, we are stepping out. And this evening, I am here with Danielle McCusker. She is the founder of Peer Brands. And tonight we're going to be talking about how are you helping others? What are you doing to serve others? So help me welcome Miss Danielle McCusker. Hey, Danielle.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so honored.
You're welcome, and thank you for stepping out with Betty. I love what you're doing. And so what we do here, instead of me introducing you, I'll have you introduce yourself, because why? Who knows you better than you? So can you introduce yourself to my audience?
Yeah, I sure can. Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle McCusker. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Peer Brands. Peer Brands is basically a software as a service, or those applications that you download on your phone. But what I'm doing is helping small businesses and nonprofits list their unused space in our communities to get booked by individuals in our community that need a place to start. So basically, I'm here in Denver, so everyone knows, and I'm seeing these are basically our community leaders, churches, small business restaurateurs, anyone that falls along the nonprofit or small business segment get pushed out of our markets. It's getting so expensive to start a business. And so I basically go and I source unused space from churches and other types of facilities in our communities and help them list meeting rooms or kitchens so that other people have a place to start a business.
That's awesome. So what I heard you say was, so people that are chefs, let's say after school teachers, dance instructors, if they need space to do their thing, you created a technology app to help with that. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, absolutely. And how we got started actually was I went out to be a restaurateur. I wanted to start a healthy fast food establishment. And after looking for over a year, I couldn't find a location. And one of my friends came to me and she was like, why aren't you asking your friend that owns a restaurant if you could share her kitchen? And my mind started going, and it's like, well, that's a better way to start. I don't have to come up with so much capital to start a brick and mortar. I could grow organically. Like, you almost mitigate the risk of starting a restaurant. And so I figured, if I'm having this problem finding a location, how many other people are having the same problem? So what I did is I pivoted and I developed the software that opens up commercial kitchen access to all. And I opened it up so much to where anyone over 18 can now just look, book, and cook in a commercial kitchen, which is extremely important. So as you know, 80% of small business restaurateurs turn over in the first 2 years. Well, how can we help fix that statistic? And the bottom line is, if we apply the sharing economy to the restaurant industry, we're going to have more success, meaning if you're a restaurant that's struggling, you're not using your kitchen all of the time. As a matter of fact, most commercial kitchen owners use it less than 50% of the time. So why not let a baker use it overnight, or do a pop-up restaurant and let a chef do a pop-up restaurant on the day that you're closed? And now we're driving revenue off your underutilized resource, which would be your commercial kitchen. And so I've had huge success implementing this Airbnb of commercial kitchen concept. And what happened is my customers were like, Danielle, since you're helping us drive revenue off our commercial kitchens, can you help us drive revenue off our event space, off of our parking lots, and so on and so forth? And it's like, yeah, absolutely. We could do farmers markets and parking lots. It could be a food truck stop. Just because it's a parking lot doesn't mean you just have to park in it. And that's the same with any type of facility. If you think of churches, they have meeting rooms and conference rooms and event halls. It doesn't have to just be a place of worship. So how do we connect individuals in our community to this space We developed a SaaS application that does that. And what we're doing then is perpetuating our local economies, and we're keeping the money here instead of it getting sucked out by these huge companies, all by merely connecting people.
That's awesome, Danielle. And I know that would work really well with the pandemic, because a lot of restaurants were closed, a lot of churches were closed, and then some small business owners couldn't find space. So how did that work out? What was the success rate?
We've had huge success, and we just started tackling the religious segment for churches, and we've had an overwhelming response. So before I even dive into like any new industry, when we start to like list their stuff, I go in and try and figure out what happened in the first place. So not only are churches, did they get faced with the pandemic where the congregation couldn't come in general, the trend is people aren't given as much and as often. So churches have to find additional revenue streams to survive. And that can happen just by merely letting the individuals in your community come and use your facilities when you're not using it. And so we've had huge success in the religious segment and in the restaurant industry off of commercial kitchens. Veterans organizations as well. They're the ones that gave me my start. And they were completely open to letting people, they already do this anyhow, but to basically get them online, because most small businesses and nonprofits can't afford to build an application, or software. So we're just bridging those gaps for them.
That's great, Danielle. And once again, it's all about helping others, right? Leading with love, thinking about small businesses, pressure points, those barriers to entry, and how we can alleviate those barriers so that they can be successful. I love it. So my next question for you, Danielle, how would they find your services? So what does that process look like?
Well, you could just simply go to www.purebrands.com. And anyone can sign up. So we are in the cloud, so this is something that can scale nationally. We're not just here in Colorado. We've already started Idaho and Arizona, but we can start anywhere. So if you have unused space, you just simply go to purebrands.com and sign up, or you can email us at service@purebrands.com, and we'll contact you and get you going.
You're not limited to Colorado. So like here in South Carolina, if we needed space here in South Carolina, you can help us find space?
Absolutely. I would look to whatever community. I basically ask what city you're in, and then I'd find a location for you to start. Depending on what business model you have, I'm pretty good at knowing what kind of space, how many hours you would need, and what type of facility would be open to offer you that space.
That is awesome, Danielle, because, trying to find a space, a venue is time consuming, right? And if you have a system in place where we could just go in and type it in your area where you want to be at, that's amazing, right? I feel like this pandemic has been a blessing and a curse, right? The curse is our world has been thrown upside down. But the blessing is people have become more compassionate, more thoughtful, and more sharing and more caring, and business models are changing, right? They're caring more about the employees now. So I think that's really great, because as a female entrepreneur, as I mentioned before, those barriers to entry is really hard. And if you don't have the startup capital that they say that you should have, that makes it really difficult for a mompreneur to start, right? So I think that's really great that they have access to commercial kitchens, because you can't cook in your own kitchen, right? You have to have the space and to operate in that sanitation guidelines, right?
Right. Absolutely. And we've I've studied the restaurant industry for a long time while working in it. And primarily, the demographics of the restaurant industry are mostly white men. I think it's like over 60% or somewhere around that number. We've actually flipped that statistic because we removed all the barriers to entry, meaning we don't do long-term contracts. So you just book what you need, and that's it. It's $100 to start, you know what I mean, a restaurant with hair brands, let alone all the capital that you would need to do any type of other restaurant concept with a brick and mortar. But that statistic, we get over 80% of a diverse customer segment that's coming in trying to start restaurants. So we're literally flipping that statistic because we have removed those barriers that so many people face. So it's pretty cool.
I think that's awesome, Danielle. Now, how did you come up with this idea? Did we talk about that? Did you tell me that already?
We kind of mentioned, like, I went out over a year, and this was heartbreaking for me because I always wanted to start this healthy fast food restaurant. I flipped my house. I sold my house to get the capital to start this restaurant. And so after looking for a year, not being able to find a location, after I put myself through college and studied the restaurant industry, I was heartbroken. Like, what are you going to do? You sold your house and you studied the restaurant industry in college. Who does that? And it turns out it ended up working in my favor because when I couldn't find a location and my friend offered to share my kitchen, I was able to apply all that knowledge that I learned and build a business around it. And that's basically, you know, opening up commercial kitchen access for all. And it needs to, I know, democratization is what I was trying to go at, but so, you know, it was basically being able to take that same analysis that I learned in school and pivot and build a company around it, which is truly trying to solve some pain points in that industry and trying to fix the volatility of it. And that's just by applying the sharing economy. And my friend that offered to let me share her kitchen, like, I couldn't get the company off the ground in enough time to help her. So she ended up, you know, losing both her restaurants. And most of the time when these restaurateurs start, they mortgage their homes and stuff like that. So when you lose your business, you're also losing your house. And so by us removing those barriers of long-term contracts and stuff like that, people don't have to lose their homes anymore, let alone mortgage them to start. And that's pretty powerful.
You know, so let's unpack that because you said a lot, right? I heard resilience, right? That you wanted to start a vegan restaurant, but there were obstacles in the way. And so instead of giving up on your dreams, you became creative and created another avenue to lead you towards your dream of being a restaurant owner. And so being an entrepreneur, you have to be resilient, right? I mean, we have a dream, we have a vision, but it doesn't always work the way that we envision it, and it takes time, right? And so can you speak a little bit about how you felt when you realized it wasn't going to manifest the way you thought it was going to happen?
I was heartbroken, devastated. I did shed a few tears. I'm not gonna lie. Like, what are you gonna do with this education and all this knowledge that you like taught yourself about the restaurant industry? More importantly, when I found the solution, I could have then still started this healthy fast food concept. But how do you sit on a solution that could help so many and keep it for yourself? Like, okay, I solved my problem. She would have let me share her kitchen, but what about everyone else? And so it was pretty scary pivoting, especially to build technology when I have no technology background. And so I had to go through that roller coaster to learn to get the company off the ground. But you're right about resilience. You just got to stick with it and do not give up no matter what. The cool thing is that now, because I've opened up access for restaurateurs to be able to start commercial kitchen or start restaurants, I'm actually helping, you know, restaurateurs start healthy fast food concepts or healthy concepts. So it's almost like I still get to live out that vision, but indirectly through my customers now. So, you know, it kind of ended up circling back in a good way. So that's just kind of what I hold on to is, hey, you're still providing access so that people can start healthy food concepts.
I love it. And then you said something else, right? That totally resonates with me, right? You started a technology company, but you had no experience in technology. So you have to learn about technology before you could even begin to get this thing off the ground. And so that's one thing that I want to stress, that when you are starting out on your journey, sometimes you have to learn new things, right? in order to do it. And when I started the television show, I never had TV experience, a TV background. So I spend a lot of time researching and learning what that industry looks like. So can you talk a little bit about what that process was like in learning the technology to build this app?
It came from failure.
It's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. It came from failure, and you learn real quick not to throw good money at bad money. So I'm thinking, hey, I just need a website, and no, I needed a bunch more technology, right? Like, my running joke is when I first placed my order for software development, they asked me what language I wanted it written in, and I was like, that's a weird question, English, and they were talking about computer languages, so I lost some money with that deal because they were like, well, she doesn't know anything about tech, so, I'm in charge of premium. So there was actually 4 failed attempts at building the software. Each time I'd come out to my customer segment, my veterans organizations who worked alongside with me to build the software, and they're like, this isn't going to work. All right, we're going to start over. This isn't going to work. So 4 failed attempts. On that 4th attempt, it was like, I'm not going to spend any more money trying to get this developed until I really understand how to get it developed. And I taught myself. And then I felt comfortable enough to hire an overseas developer to actually execute. And then voila, it finally worked out. So it's very important to learn about the industry you're going to go into, especially before dropping money, because you never know. It's advantageous for some if you're naive, and some people aren't. They're actually, wouldn't take advantage of you, but you got to learn how to navigate that.
That's right. And I agree, because even with designing my own website and doing the SEO segment, what do you call it? SEO, what is the SEO stand?
Search engine optimization.
Search engine optimization, right? And getting someone to do that for you, if you don't know, they will take advantage of you and upcharge you just because you don't know. And that can be discouraging to a new entrepreneur, right? Because you said you failed 4 times. Right? The first time, it's like, oh my God. Second time, it's like, oh my God. The third time, the strength it took to keep going back, right? And then the 4th time, you was like, look, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to waste any more money. And that's a part of business, ladies, that we have to realize when we're spending our money and not bringing in any money, sometimes you have to take a step back and regroup, right? And that's another emotional roller coaster.
It's very emotional. When you're like, I only got so much time and so much money.
Did you have a support group? Like, who did you cry? Whose shoulder did you cry on? Because you gotta have somebody to pick you up.
I kind of mentor pretty much since I started. There's 2 actually. One gentleman's name is Morgan Allen. He was just promoted to the economic manager at the Denver Chambers of Commerce. So he had my back, and then there's a gentleman named Nicholas Archer Hamilton, and he's the executive director of executive studies at Carnegie Mellon School of Business, or Temple School of Business, and he has not wavered by my side. Like, I can call crying and he will be there for me. And so, and you have to have someone like that, because I've coined my journey entrepreneurship, because you just dive right into a bunch of it and you have to figure it out, and it is an emotional roller coaster, and you do need to talk to somebody. You have to have support, and half the time I found that if I go out there trying to look for the answers, you can get in certain situations where you might find people, but they're not necessarily on your side, and you have to figure that out very quickly. But it's important to surround yourself with people that believe in you, not just your company. So.
That's right. That is right. So Danielle, we have about 5 more minutes. And so I'm going to sum up some things as a business owner, right? You have to be resilient. You have to fail. And then when I say fail, that does not mean that it's a failure. But you have to figure out what works and what does not work. And that means to fail forward, right? And you know, okay, I can't do that anymore. And then, but you keep going. And then the third thing I heard you say was to surround yourself with like-minded individuals that can support you and who has the bandwidth to be able to support your emotional roller coaster ride, right? Because not everybody can handle being an entrepreneur and what we go through, right? Because I know some of my friends are like, oh my God, you asked for that. You asked for that business, so you got to deal with that. And so those are not the ones that you need to seek support from, because you need the right group of people.
Yeah, you should listen to your gut. Anytime I haven't, it backfired, and it's like, man, I knew that, I predicted that, and I didn't follow my instincts, and bam, so you gotta trust yourself and have faith within yourself too. And I think that's a part of the journey as well, is learning about yourself, not just your company. So
right. So is there anything that you would like to leave us with?
Yeah, absolutely. So peer brands, basically, we say our communities have enough resources in them. We're not utilizing them properly. So just because it's a church doesn't mean it just has to be a place of worship. It could be a business center or a community center as well. So if you have unused space in your neighborhood, please reach out to us, because there is an entrepreneur. There's someone in your community that's looking for that space that needs a place to start, and we bridge those gaps. So please reach out to Peer Brands anytime.
That is awesome. And so to reach out to you, it is www.
Peer, Paul, EER as in Richard, and then brands, brands.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Miss Danielle McCusker, founder of Peer Brands. We met on Clubhouse, right? And I got one quick question for you, Danielle.
Let's do it.
What have you noticed being a female entrepreneur, right? I noticed that in this space, it's different, right?
That's different.
Men have a certain bravado about them. Women are timid, right? And when we show up confident and strong, men can't handle that, right? So, give us some advice on how to show up confident and strong as a female entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's going to take some practice, because you would think when you go into meetings, it's 2022, that we wouldn't be treated any differently, but we are. In fact, we actually usually get less amounts in our raises if we do a capital raise or anything like that, but yet we get the most return on anyone's investment. So it makes no sense why we don't have more women leaders out there, or why a venture capital firm wouldn't want to invest in you when the numbers are out there. I can tell you from experience, and I've had a couple rough ones just by being a woman, some of the comments and dismissive behavior that these men who are leaders in our communities have said to me. I do have to just brush it off, because there are other leaders who are men that are willing to listen. So I just had an experience where a gentleman was looking for a female founder, said that we would have lunch. I shot him an email. I didn't get a response. I wrote him another email a week later explaining exactly who I am, what our company is doing, and how we're making an impact, and that, I deserve to have a voice. And guess what? That lunch got scheduled. So I didn't give up, but you are going to have to fight harder and work harder, because you are a woman in business.
We do. And guess what? We fight too, right? We fight like a girl. And we win. We don't quit. And
you almost, Miss Betty, have to take that. When you're hit with that type of ignorance, you have to be able to convert that energy into passion, and then go out there and just execute and be like, oh, I just showed you. I mean, you have to, because you're going to take a lot of hits as a woman in business. And it's sad, some of the experiences that I've bared witness to, all because of that. But you just gotta let your lessons be your blessings, and convert that energy into actionable results.
That's right. I love that. Let your lessons be your blessings. And remember that we are here for each other, that we are all we have, and we're here to support each other. So if there's anything that we can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out, right? And I really enjoyed this time with you, Miss Danielle.
Thank you so much.
It did. And I love what you're doing at Peer Brands. Keep doing what you're doing, because we need you here and we need that space. And I hope
you as well. Thank you for what you do.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, because I created this so that people like you can have a platform to highlight your goodness, right? And to let people know what you're doing. And you all are doing a great thing, and keep doing it. I love it.
I appreciate you. Thank you for giving us a platform. We need it.
You're welcome. And one of my viewers said she enjoyed the show. It was a unique idea, right? We have to encourage each other, and as women, we always are thinking out of the box, right? Gotta think out of the box. And I think that's a good idea, because there's so much vacant space. People are working from home now, and that remote work created an opportunity for somebody else to come in and share office space. You just never know.
That's right. And if we unlock the supply, we're actually going to drive down costs. It boggles my mind the way the world is. It's like we almost do everything opposite and not in our best interest. But if we work together collectively, we can actually get some things done. And so, we all need to step up together, and so us women, we need to stick together too, us women.
I love it. I love it. Kudos to you. Well, thank you so much for stepping out with Betty. We'll be back next week with another female entrepreneur. I'm celebrating female entrepreneurs because we have such a hard time out here, and if we can create space for them, that's what I'm going to do, right? I love men too, right? But women have a special place in my heart because we just have it a little bit harder, right? They want us to stay home. And there's more.
Come out.
That's right. We're stepping out, baby. There's more to do than be at home cooking and cleaning. So, yes, thank you so much, Miss Danielle, for stepping out with me. And I'll be in touch because I'm looking for some space. And you'll be the perfect person to help me find what I'm looking for.
Thank you, guys. Thank all of you and your viewers for the time. I really appreciate all of you.
You're welcome. And thank you all for tuning in with us. And I'm mindful of your time. So we are at 30 minutes, right? I want to hit it and quit it, get in and get out. So thank you so much. You have a great day, and see you on.
Stepping out.